So bats are critically important for our ecosystem and honestly for human life. Bats eat a lot of the pests that would prey on crops. They keep mosquito numbers down, and they're generally very important for maintaining ecosystem balance as it relates to insects. We also manage thousands of miles of transmission lines, and a lot of this is habitat for bats. And so as part of that, we feel like we are called to be good stewards of the resources we manage. White nose syndrome is the main threat to bats in North America right now. So white nose syndrome is a fungus that affects bats. It originated in Europe and was unintentionally introduced to North America, and has since spread across many of the states in the United States and across many of the species. So bats spend lots and lots of time fattening up for the winter, and then they essentially hibernate in the coldest months of the year. And so the way that white nose affects bats is it essentially overrides their body's hibernation system and wakes them up in the middle of the winter, and there's nothing to forage on, and their body has to spend lots and lots of energy to keep themselves warm. And they essentially will starve to death because they don't have the resources available to them to stay alive. And it has decimated many bat species that reside in caves. So Bat Blitz is an intensive multi-night survey where researchers come together in a historically under-surveyed part of the state, and we look for bats over multiple nights to try to get an idea of what the populations are like in a local area. So at a Bat Blitz, teams set up mist nets, which are basically extremely fine, almost like a fishing line net. Once they're captured, bats are safely removed, they're identified as species, and you can use what's called a key to figure out what species it is. And then they are sexed, so we're determining if they're male or female. We determine if they're pregnant. We take measurements of the wings to get an idea of the age and maturity level. And then we also look for signs of white nose syndrome. So we can pull the wing out. You can look for things like holes or signs of disease. In the Southeast, Bat Blitz has been being conducted for well over 20 years. In Alabama, they've been being conducted for at least 15 years. And that's really interesting because they started conducting Bat Blitzes prior to white nose syndrome entering the state. It essentially entered from the Northeast and slowly crept across the southeastern United States. And so we've been able to return to some of the sites that were surveyed pre-white nose and conduct follow-up surveys to see how populations have responded. And unfortunately, we've seen some really significant decreases in several species. In some cases, we've seen reductions in as much as 90%. So the results from our annual Bat Blitzes are used by land managers, used by Fish and Wildlife Service, who are the managers of the Endangered Species Act. They're used to update range maps to give us an idea of the most up-to-date place that species are found, especially listed species, because we want to know if there are populations that we don't know about, so we can protect those areas. So Alabama Power Environmental Affairs has been a long-time supporter of the Bat Blitz for at least 10 years. And we've been on the working group team for about that long as well.